What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, and it's another late show from Spurs this weekend as we beat Liverpool 2-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. What was a dramatic, event-filled game. Quite incredible. Spurs keeping their unbeaten run and ending Liverpool's unbeaten run as Spurs end the weekend in second place, 1 point behind Man City. Ben is at home as he's still a bit under the weather, but we never stop, and of course he's going to be joining us for the post-match reaction and all the goings-on for the Liverpool game. I was in the stadium yesterday in what was an incredible atmosphere, an incredible game of football. Can't quite believe how it all turned out. But Ben, watching from home, must have been unbelievable as well.
Yeah, it really was. Obviously, doesn't touch being in the stadium, and I got a lot of FOMO seeing what was going on in that stadium yesterday. It looked absolutely incredible. But look, to beat Liverpool, look, I told you we could beat Liverpool. I literally told every single one of you. Sim was like, yeah, I'll take a point here and a point there off Liverpool and Arsenal. I said 4 points minimum is what we need. And that is exactly what we got from these two games. And everyone, including myself, was saying, look, it's all well and good playing well and getting these results, but we're really going to get tested on these two games against Liverpool and Arsenal. And I think we passed the test with flying colours, to be honest. A draw away at the Emirates and a win at home to Liverpool, albeit under a few crazy circumstances, not going to lie, with refereeing decisions that finally have gone our way. And that made it even more sweeter for me. It really did. Like, I'm not hearing any of this crap about you got the refereeing decisions come your way. Spurs stole a victory. How many times have Liverpool done that to us? How many times?
Countless.
Diego Jota only just got sent off for the foul he did on Ollie Skip last year. That's what he got sent off for. You know what I mean? That high boot on Ollie Skip. He finally got sending off. The Sissoko penalty in the Champions League final. The Robertson high foot on Tanganga. I mean, I remember an offside goal as well that we scored that wasn't really offside and got counted and ruled for offside a couple of years back as well. So we've had countless amounts of decisions against us over the years, and wrongly so. So it felt like kind of all those decisions put to one, coming into one game to overturn it. So it was really sweet for me the way it was overturned.
We kind of got all, as you say, kind of all those bad decisions rolled into one game. We kind of got our own back on Liverpool for once, and that's something that just continuously happens year on year against Liverpool. We always don't get the rub of the green. We're the ones usually conceding the last minute winner as well. So it was nice for it to have a bit of a turnaround yesterday. But look, let's get into the match review in what was an unbelievable game of football in the end, full of events. We'll start obviously at the start of the game. Well, look, let's talk about how the game was 11v11 for the first 25 minutes, because not many people have spoken about that element of the game. I thought we did start the game fairly well. Liverpool, I think it was kind of an even game. I would say 11v11. Maybe Liverpool was shading it at that moment, but I actually thought in like how the game was playing out 11v11 was pretty spot on in terms of how we assessed it before the game. I thought we were winning that midfield battle. I thought Basuma, Maddison and Sarr were playing really well in the centre of the park and we were playing through them pretty effectively. I thought obviously Richie started on the left this time, which was a bit of a surprise going into the game. We thought maybe Manuel would play, or if Richie was going to start, he would be through the centre. But I thought that was a clever decision from Postecoglou, because I thought Richie had a better game out on the left and he was causing him a bit of trouble out on the left-hand side. But Liverpool, obviously, with their forward line, they were causing us also a lot of trouble going the other end, and Vicario had to make a good double save to keep us level at that point. So how did you feel the game was going when it was 11v11?
I felt like Liverpool were playing on the transition against us, letting us dominate the possession, and they were hurting us because they know they can hurt us with those quality players that they do have. And I felt like when it was 11-on-11, yeah, maybe we had a bit more kind of control in the game in terms of possession, but I felt like they were hurting us more in terms of the chances that they were getting. Like you say, Vicario makes a great double save, but I felt like Liverpool were a lot more dangerous than us 11-on-11, to be honest.
Yeah, but I felt like I agree with you. But I felt Basuma was having a great game, like at the start of the game as well. I thought in the middle, I thought he was really looking confident, and Liverpool struggling to deal with him a bit. Maddison was buzzing about. We didn't really have, apart from I think Richarlison had a flash across the face of goal, and maybe we had a couple of half moments. We didn't really. Alisson didn't really have to make any saves. I don't remember too many chances, but I didn't think that like it was a pure domination job at all. Like at 11v11, it was quite. I felt like it was an even game with Liverpool probably looking the more dangerous. So I probably agree with that. And then obviously it was what I think the 25th minute, Curtis Jones does get that red card. VAR overturns it after an original booking. A lot of Liverpool fans complaining about the fact that Jones kind of the challenge he initially went in for wasn't so high, but his foot seems to deflect off the ball and then end up halfway down Basuma's shin. And in the end, I guess they're complaining. They're saying if you take a freeze frame of that moment, it looks bad. But actually, if you take the context of the challenge, it maybe wasn't as bad as the VAR are making out to be. But at the end of the day, from my point of view, that challenge could have been a leg breaker. At the end of the day, it was quite dangerous how it ended up. But do you understand their frustration, or do you think when you saw it, you like that's a red?
When I first saw it, I thought it was a red because when the referee goes over to the monitor, the frame is frozen on the kind of high boot into Basuma's shin. And from that freeze frame alone, it looks like 100% a red. But I do have a bit of sympathy, to be honest, because he was going for the ball. He only had eyes on the ball. And he actually kind of gets the ball and then his like foot kind of rolls over the ball. And then he kind of slips into Basuma's shin. So I did think it was a tad harsh. But I mean, there are a few different ways you can read it, to be honest, and it's not just completely full blown not red, and it's not full blown red. So I think it was right for the referee to go back to the monitor and to make a decision on what he thought was the correct decision. But I think it could have gone either way, to be honest. I don't think it was a clear cut either way.
Well, if it could have gone either way, maybe VAR shouldn't be getting involved because they only should be getting involved in clear and obvious errors. But that's what I guess that's what VAR should be there for. That's what they said that's going to be there for. But I feel like Curtis Jones can definitely count himself a bit unlucky that's how the challenge ended up. But it could have been a very serious injury, couldn't it? For Basuma, and if he does end up, breaking his leg or something, you can't really say, oh, the ball deflected off his foot and all that. At the end of the day, it's a bad challenge, and his studs makes bad contact, and he's got a lot of force in that. So I don't think that decision they can say they were robbed with, but I can understand their frustrations, and they were maybe a bit unlucky in that situation, how it all panned out. But when it goes 11v10, you're thinking, look, okay, we've got the man advantage, we're at home, even though it's a good Liverpool team. I think at that point, even I'm thinking, look, we saw how they played against Newcastle when they were 1-0 down and down to 10 men. And so I wasn't saying it was a foregone conclusion, but obviously I'm confident that we can go on now, win this game, especially the way we play. I'm thinking that should be perfect to play against 10 men. That's what I'm thinking. But they ended up, Liverpool should have really taken the lead, shouldn't they? Because Diaz is played for on goal by Salah. Unbelievable finish by Diaz, by the way. Underrated from that tight angle, how he finds that far corner in off the post, and unbelievable from the VAR not to get involved in that situation and not give the goal. And we proper got let off the hook with that situation because that was clearly onside. And I think I was reading what really happened in that situation. Apparently what happened was the VAR thought that the on-field decision was a goal. So when he was checking the offside situation, he saw that it was clearly onside. He did draw the lines, and he saw that the ball was clearly onside, and so he said check complete because he thought that the on-field decision was a goal, not offside. And then so the referee hears check complete. Now obviously the on-field decision was offside, so when he is check complete, they think, okay, check complete is offside, and the play restarts. And then once the play restarts, they can't then go back. Apparently, once play restarts, that decision's over. So absolute cock up of communication from the VAR at that point. But we absolutely got away with one in that situation, didn't we?
It's absolutely farcical. I think that might be the worst decision I've ever seen VAR make, to be honest. I really think it is. I was watching it. I don't know what it was like for you lot in the stadium, but I was watching it. And they did the replay without the line on TV, And I'm sitting there. I go to Dad. I go, that where's the offside there? I just don't understand. And he's like, yeah, I didn't see it anyway. But like they've gone to VAR, so we just assumed like, all right, fine, they've seen something that they haven't shown on TV, or something was out of the image or something. I don't know. But we both looked at it. And we're both like, what's going on here? Because that doesn't look offside whatsoever. Did you see in the stadium like it was clearly onside?
Well, we obviously didn't get the images. I saw at half time. I was looking at the images at half time on my phone. I was like, that looks onside to me. I didn't even see it with the line, but I was looking. I was like, that definitely looks onside. So it was very strange. But you also never know really when you see an angle, because a lot of the times you look at an angle and it looks onside or it looks offside, and then they draw the lines in it, and it's very different. So I didn't see any images with the lines in it, but apparently some of the broadcasters, not in England, but some of the broadcasters, I think it was beIN Sports, did an image with the line and it showed how it was onside. So I was looking at that and I'm thinking, that's very, very odd. But listening to what happened, that kind of explains, because a lot of people are saying, oh, why didn't VAR draw the lines, all this kind of stuff, and why, and so they did draw the lines. They saw that it was onside, but there was just a cock up in what the on-field decision was, and that is inexcusable, really. How that lack of communication. I'm sure that I can only imagine that in the VAR room, once play restarts, they must be going crazy, like, oh my god, what just happened? Because they thought that they were giving the goal, and then all of a sudden he sees a free. They must be like, what the hell was going on? Like
Who said that happened? Because I don't even know like how they had time to draw the lines, because it all just happened so quickly.
No,
it was just like,
it happened quickly because it was such an obvious decision. It was so clearly onside. That's why it happened quickly, if you understand. So they draw the.
Why didn't they show the lines on TV or anything like that?
I don't know. I don't know about that, but that was the explanation that apparently has been. There's a guy on Twitter, Dale Johnson. He's like the VAR expert, and he was explaining that's what happened during that incident, and it's a monumental cock up, because as well, if Liverpool are 1-0 up at that stage, even though they're down to 10 minutes, a very different game. It gives them something to hang on to, as opposed to Spurs chasing down at 0-0. At 1-0, I think it changes the game completely. So I think Liverpool can have a massive right to feel aggrieved about that. It's how the VAR and the referee can't get their communication right as to what the on-field decision was is absolutely crazy. So, I mean, there's no other explanation as to just a massive communication error between the VAR and the referee, and it led to that situation. And obviously, if that was Spurs, I'd be absolutely fuming, and Liverpool have a right to be fuming in that situation as well. So, look, we should have been 1-0 down. Completely got away with it. I think within a few minutes of that decision as well, we go 1-0 up. So definitely a bit of luck there. But in terms of the goal we scored, really well worked goal, wasn't it? Beautiful ball by James Maddison in behind to Richarlison. Perfectly timed run from him. And Rishi being on the left does very well to square it very quickly for Heung-min-Son to tap home. I was a bit questionable about Alisson's positioning for that goal. I felt he probably shouldn't have been in that position he was. Maybe he was worried about Richarlison shooting, but really well worked goal to break the deadlock, and I wouldn't say deserve, but it was a good moment for us.
I felt like as much as Liverpool had that goal that was disallowed, I still felt like after Liverpool got that man sent off, we were the better team, and we were the ones in the ascendancy, and we were the ones asking more questions. So I did feel like it was kind of a deserved goal, to be honest. Whether it should have been 1-1 or 1-0 is a different question. But I felt like the goal was a really well teamwork goal. That ball from Maddison into Richarlison was absolutely top notch. And obviously Richarlison did really well, because usually sometimes in those positions, Richarlison panics a little bit and maybe does a rash shot or something like that. But he was very calm and collected, just placed it into the path of Heung-min-Son, and Heung-min-Son was never going to miss from there. So I thought it was a really well worked goal. And I felt like it was kind of like rewards for the good work that we were doing, because I felt like once they did go down to 10 men, I felt like we were working the ball really well, and there was a moment in the game, maybe before stoppage time at the end of the first half and after the sending off, where we were really in the ascendancy.
Yeah, I agree. I think we had them on the ropes a bit just after the goal. I think Richarlison hits the post. We have a couple other openings where it looked like we were going to take them to the sword. But I also felt like we needed to take advantage of that moment, because we saw what they did against Newcastle. They kind of hung in there, didn't they? And they ended up bringing on Nunes late in the game, and he changed it. So we didn't want it to be 1-0.
He was getting ready to come on, by the way. He was getting ready to come on just before the second red card. He was stripped off. He was on the side. He was ready to go. And I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, God, if Nunes comes on now, we're in trouble with the way Liverpool are in the transition, even with 10 men. And luckily, at that point, Jota gets sent off and the sub doesn't happen.
Yeah, we got very lucky. But look, we'll get on to that in a minute. But at that moment, so it's still 1-0. We didn't take the chances when they came. If Rishi's shot is an inch to the left, maybe we're 2-0 up. But I felt like in that last 5 minutes of the half, we definitely did lose our way a bit. And Ange was commenting on that after the game. They make it 1-1 with a really poor goal defensively from Tottenham's point of view. Van Dijk wins which, by the way, no one's mentioning, but Udogie gets a yellow card for a foul on Gakpo, which he wins the ball pretty cleanly, I felt. I didn't think that was a free kick, so no one's really talking about that moment, but that's where Liverpool's goal came from. But defensively, really poor goal. Van Dijk wins a header pretty unchallenged at the back post. And I felt like as well, Gakpo was able to take a touch, swivel, and shoot in the box with no real challenge on him. And I was actually, I'm watching.
Van de Ven was slow to react.
And also Basuma, Basuma and Van de Ven should be throwing themselves at that situation, and both of them didn't. They kind of let him shoot, which was really disappointing. If they're aggressive and get really close to him and close him down, that shot gets blocked. That shot shouldn't be difficult to block because he literally has to swivel and bring his leg back a lot to get that power in that situation in that moment in the box. And he's got two men around him, and they're both very slow to get to him, and they're both not putting their body on the line. And I was very disappointed in that goal, to be honest. And you shouldn't be allowed to swivel and shoot like that in the box from a free kick, especially after you've taken a touch as well. So I think Van de Ven and Basuma did not cover themselves in much glory for that goal, and hopefully they'll learn from that.
Yeah, no, 100%. It was very frustrating, but I think Mickey Van de Ven was an absolute. I thought he was unbelievable throughout the 90 minutes, to be honest. Every time Liverpool looked like they were going 1-on-1 with Vicario, just Mickey Van de Ven just pops up of nowhere with those recovery challenges. And those are the moments that we bought him for. Like the attributes that he has is just like unbelievable in those kind of situations. But I was kind of let down with a few situations like that, and in the offside goal that didn't count in the end. I thought Salah kind of physically got the better of him, to be honest, when I don't think he had any right to at that stage.
Yeah, so look, we go into the halftime 1-0. So obviously it's not going horrifically, but look, just before halftime to concede that goal is a massive blow. But I thought we came out in the second half a lot quicker, looking to rectify the situation. Maddison has a good shot from range, which Alisson saves. Son has a good volley as well, which Alisson tips over, which was a phenomenal save. So it looked like Tottenham were really building ahead of steam. And what was also good was that obviously I missed out as well just at the end of that first half. Diaz had that chance which should have really made it 2-1 to Liverpool, which he puts wide. But what was good about the start of the second half anyways, Liverpool didn't seem to be able to create those chances I felt that they were doing at the end of the first half, which was crucial to sustain the pressure from Spurs. And we were really on top at that moment and actually testing Alisson. So that was really, really positive. And then I think the sustained pressure paid off with that red card for Jota. Two fouls on Udogie. I thought definitely the first one he can count himself a bit unlucky for, because he doesn't really make a challenge. It wasn't a foul. What I would say is he doesn't make a challenge, but he does make contact with. Everyone says Udogie tripped himself. He didn't. What happened was Udogie was running and his back heel clips Jota. Jota's I think it was his shin, and it makes him trip himself essentially. So there was contact from Jota, but Jota actually doesn't make a challenge. Jota's just running. Jota's running with him. He doesn't actually make a challenge. So I agree with you. It's not a foul. And or if it is a foul, it's not a yellow card because it wasn't cynical. It was just an accidental clash. So I think Jota can definitely feel very unlucky to be on a yellow card, and maybe he felt a bit frustrated with that situation.
You know what, though? When you're on that yellow card, you can't make a challenge like you did for the second one. That second one was cynical. That second one was definitely a yellow card. And if you've been booked a minute before that to make a challenge like that, I mean, you've only got yourself to blame, really.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I think that second yellow card you can have few complaints, although you can feel aggrieved about the first yellow. But then they're down to 9, and it was a bit weird because I thought against 10 we were much better, and then once they went down to 9 men, and all of a sudden you look at the clock, there's it's 68 minutes on the clock, so we got a good 22 minutes plus stoppage time. You're thinking plenty of time to make use of this situation where they're down to 9 men. Not only that, they take off Salah and they took off Diaz and they brought on defenders, which is understandable when you're 2-man down. But they literally had no attacking force on this. They literally had no attackers on. I think the furthest played forward at that point was Szoboszlai, who was pretty much a midfielder anyway. So they literally put all the men in the box, and it was all about basically, can you break us down? Can you force any situations? And for 22 minutes, to be honest, I don't think Alisson made a save. And that was probably the most disappointing thing about that last 22 minutes was we obviously we were going to be dominant. We were the ones going to be in control. Liverpool didn't even enter our half, I think, for the final 22 minutes. But they were obviously, every time they had the opportunity, they were going down, winning free kicks. They were wasting time, which is, again, understandable when you're down to 9 men. But the frustrating thing was we just didn't seem to... we didn't look like scoring at all in those final 22 minutes, to be honest. There were very few. What was also a bit disappointing was I felt like we were putting crosses in, but there weren't that many men. There was like Richarlison in there, and there wasn't anyone really support, because obviously we took off Son, and Madison took off Son after like 69 minutes, which Postecoglou has admitted after the game it was always pre-planned because he wasn't 100%. He said it was a pre-planned sub, but maybe like Valise came on very late on. Maybe we could have brought him on a bit earlier just to have a bit more presence in the box, because let's be honest, did we need 4 defenders on at that point? Because they just had no attackers, so maybe we could have forced that situation a bit more, but we weren't causing any problems from crosses. We weren't spamming any shots from maybe the edge of the box from like Solomon or Kulusevski. I thought Kulusevski was a bit frustrating those last 20 minutes, albeit I thought he had a good game overall. I thought those last 20 minutes he was a bit frustrating, and it seemed as though we didn't know how to attack them, because it's like we didn't want to cross it in because we didn't have that much of a presence, but we were also very reluctant to shoot from like outside the box as well. So it ended up in a situation where we were just passing it around the box.
We were never going to win headers in the box. They had Van Dijk, they had Konate, they had so many defenders just lining the box. And when you look at it, I mean, sometimes you just got to give credit to the defensive team and the way they set up and the way they set up to frustrate us as well. I think they did such a good job, Liverpool, when they had down to 9 men, flooding that box, giving us no space whatsoever. You know, Spurs like to work in those spaces. You saw the last time when we tried to work in congested areas against Sheffield United, we only kind of overturned that result in the last few minutes as well. So it's definitely a question mark against the team trying to break down these low blocks. And without Heung-min Son and Maddison also, who went off in the final minutes of the game, it was a big source of frustration, to be honest. But we kept floating balls in the box, and we were never going to win the headers because we had no one nowhere near as good as in the air as Konate and Van Dijk.
But that for me, that's where you've got to make your extra man advantage count. So I understand. I think your point is right. I think they probably wanted us to be floating balls into the box. And when you've got Konate, you've got Matip, you've got Van Dijk, that's probably their bread and butter. But I just felt like we didn't have the numbers in the box to compensate for that. So the only way I think you compensate from a situation like that is if you just overwhelm them with sheer numbers and like in the box, and you just literally flood everyone in there, and you just make sure that even if it goes over one Liverpool defender's head, we've got a man there to win the header. And I just felt like we didn't commit enough players into the box in attacking those situations enough, and that was a bit frustration. If you're not going to do that, you got to maybe find some space in and around the box and take some shots and try and beat Alisson from range. You know, you've got Solomon there who's a good shooter. Kulusevski's got a decent shot on him. I know Maddison and Son went off, so that was a bit of frustration, but you know, you've got to try in something different. I felt like we just resorted to passing in and around the penalty area, and we didn't really ask enough questions, I felt, in that last bit of the game, and it literally was petering out. It looked like it was going to be a very, very good point for Liverpool, and I agree with you. I think you've got to give them massive credit, because it's not easy when you're down to 9 men, especially like against a good team like us, to hold us out, and actually to restrict any sort of chances we were created was probably the most impressive thing from their point of view, that we just didn't look like scoring at all against 9 men in those last 20 minutes. But to be fair as well, I think when when they do go down to 9 men, and even with 10, they left a couple of attackers on, didn't they, and showed a bit of a willingness to go forward. But once it's down to 9, it's literally all 9 players were either in that defensive midfield or literally penalty area. Sorry?
They had 1 or 2 breakaways where maybe if we did commit a few more men forward out of the defence. I mean, Cuti Romero was essentially playing as a central midfielder, to be honest, when they went down to 9. So I think if we did commit anyone else more forward, then those like 1 or 2 breakaways that they did have could have been very dangerous situations. And imagine the storyline if they go down to 9 men and they end up nicking that game 2-1.
That would have been too much. That would have been really too much. But look, we did, as you say, keep going until the very last moment. It was literally, I would say, probably
stop.
What was it? The last, it was in the 96th minute of 6 minutes added on, wasn't it? Literally the last chance we had. I think I said in the vlog, it's going to be now or never for Spurs just before we scored, and it did turn out to be now. And I actually said to Graham just before that, I turned to him, I was like, if we're going to win this, it's going to have to be either deflection or an own goal because we're not creating anything. And Porro, I think one of the only, or a penalty as well, but it was probably one of the only times in those last 20 minutes we actually flashed the ball across the face of goal as opposed to floating it in. And that was maybe what Postecoglou after the game said, we didn't vary our attack enough in those last 20 minutes, and maybe that's why we struggled. But Porro flashes a brilliant ball across the face of goal, forces a mistake from Joel Matip, he puts it in the back of the net. Valise was actually waiting there at the back post. Maybe we were robbed of a Valise debut winner, which would have been nice. Obviously he didn't have that much time on the pitch, but he flashes it in, it goes to the back of the net, we end up taking 3 points. In massive scenes ensues, and it was an unbelievable moment, and it was an unbelievable way to win 3 points, and keeps our great start to the season going. But what a moment, and as well, a great moment from my man of the match, Porro, who I thought was exemplary throughout the game.
Pedro Porro was my man of the match as well. I thought he was absolutely class throughout the day. Those sliding challenges, man, he is getting so good defensively. He really is growing into that role now, getting better and better game on game. That cross at the end. Thank you, Joel Matip, for giving us those scenes and the 3 points to take home from. And to win like that in that sort of style against Liverpool, I think it was the most perfect way to beat Liverpool because of what I said earlier on in the stream about how many times we've been so unlucky against them. It's about time we rode our luck against Liverpool, and it's about time we got some luck against them. So I couldn't be happier with the way we won that game.
100%. And for all the last minute heartbreak, literally year on year there is last minute heartbreak against Liverpool whenever we play them. So the fact that it turned it on its head this time, and we were the ones getting advantage in the last minute, I couldn't be happy with that situation. I was absolutely delighted, and it just keeps that good feeling and that good run going. It keeps that belief going that we just keep going to the end. After the Sheffield United goal in the last minute, now a last minute goal this time against Liverpool, it just fuels that belief that we're moving in the right direction, that the way we're playing, bro. Momentum as well. Hopefully, the knocks to Maddison and Son, or even Basuma, who had to end up going off as well, who maybe that challenge from Jones maybe had a bit of an effect on him. But hopefully those injuries aren't telling, because I think it was a big indication for me personally that the depth coming off the bench weren't great, in my opinion. I thought Skip, Højbjerg, Davis, I mean, I'm not to say I thought they were terrible when coming on, but they're just not the same quality, and you saw the quality drop when they did come on. And I thought obviously they kept the momentum up and they kept the energy up, but the quality just wasn't there, I felt, from those players coming off the bench. Valise only had a few minutes. He had a couple of nice touches, but obviously wasn't really involved too much. I thought Solomon as well on the left-hand side, very much flattered to deceive. He did beat Trent a couple of times, but wasn't really able to do much on that left-hand side when coming off the bench. Didn't whip in many crosses or anything like that. So if there are injuries, you are starting to see how maybe our depth is lacking a bit coming off the bench in those last 20 minutes. So let's hope that those injuries we need them back for the next game, essentially.
Yeah, look, I think we can handle going to Luton with a few injuries. I think we can handle that. But luckily, we got international break after Luton as well. So there's actually a couple of weeks now where we've got time for players to recover. So,
well, not if they're playing for their international teams.
Well, if they're injured, then they won't be, essentially. So I think it's good. It's probably a good time for the international break to come, to be honest, if we've got a few knocks and injuries. But We've got, I was saying about momentum before, and this is the exact way that Arsenal got themselves in the title race last season, because nobody thought that they would be anywhere close to Man City last season. They had some really good results at the beginning of the season, and that kind of got that momentum going and got them like going on a winning run. In that first half of the season, they were one of the best teams in the league. And I'm not saying that Spurs are going to go in a title race this season. No chance. But what I'm saying is that momentum is growing at Spurs right now. And I think like after the Arsenal game, after the Liverpool game, and after the Sheffield United game, all three of them are such morale boosting kind of performances and such morale boosting results as well. So you're looking at the fixtures now. And our next 5 games, you're looking at like Luton, Fulham, Palace, Chelsea, Wolves, Villa. I mean, we need to be looking to get like maximum points. I'm not even joking. Like our hardest game there is probably Villa. And apart from that, I mean, you're looking at, you probably want to be getting maximum points. And if we do get maximum points in all these games, what a start to the season it's been. Unbelievable.
100. Yeah, but look, you saw with Man City losing to Wolves yesterday as well. You can't take anything for granted in this league, so I think we just got to take it game by game. But look, coming off of the Arsenal and Liverpool games with 4 points is beyond my wildest dreams, to be honest. I never thought that we could do that, and the fact that we won this game as well. 100%. Look, you couldn't have predicted 2 red cards. I don't think, to be honest, I don't think we win this game if they're not down to 9 men, to be honest, because I felt like Liverpool were you know, even with 9 men, they nearly got a point. So I think Liverpool were desperately unlucky. I have to give them credit. I think there was just one of those days where the referee absolutely robbed them. I think the referee ruined the game, to be honest, a bit from their point of view, I have to say, which is a massive shame for them. But for us, we'll take the 3 points, and I don't really care.
How many times has the referee done it to us? I have no sympathy for them whatsoever.
I have no sympathy. I don't have any sympathy. I'm just from their point of view. I think just objectively, the referee definitely ruined that game a bit, and it was a shame because it was set to be a great game. After 25 minutes, it looked like it was really going to be open, great football from both sides, and the referee did kind of ruin the game as a spectacle a bit, because then it just became attack versus defense for a lot of that game, and it's just about if Tottenham can breach their defense, which we did end up doing in the 90th minute. But I think we do have to keep our feet on the ground because that performance, although look, Liverpool are a great team, so just beating them in any situation is impressive and significant. How we struggled to break them down and when they had 9 men was definitely a bit telling for me about we've still got a lot of work to do when it comes to what Postecoglou's doing. But look, of course we do. We're only 8 games in.
Sometimes it's harder to play against 9 men than it is against like 11 men, because you know that with Liverpool with 11 men, even with 10 men, they're going to leave us space at the back for us to attack in, and that's kind of playing into our hands a little bit. When it's 9 men, like I said before, we struggle trying to break down these low blocks and putting all men behind the ball, and the top defenders in there that were playing really well. So it was actually harder for us against 9 men than it is against 10 or 11 men.
I understand that, and that's probably true, but the reality is once they went down to 9 men, they stopped attacking, and so we didn't even have to worry about them going the other end and defending. And that's what I mean about like the referee pretty much giving the game to us in that sense, because Liverpool had no avenues to try and break away, I felt like, when it went down to 9 men, and that was pretty much the game done for them. It was just about trying to get a point. And I understand that it's difficult when you've got 9, pretty much 8 outfield players all defending, all pretty much in and around the penalty area, and it's going to be tough to break them down. But considering they had no attacking threat, I felt pretty much for those last 20 minutes, like I don't think we asked enough questions going forward to say that I was delighted with how we reacted to that situation. Obviously, I'm not upset about it because we kept going, we kept trying to force the issue. We tried to win that game, and I thought the pressure was relentless. But in terms of the actual quality we showed trying to break them down, it was a bit lacking, I felt. And you know, on another day, Liverpool could have taken a point if it wasn't for that own goal. And I just think it wasn't a performance that showed me like, okay, we were better than Liverpool. It's just a performance where we got the result and we take it and we're delighted with it. But I wasn't like blown away by how we played.
Yeah, look, I agree with you to a certain extent. I'm just saying it was just extremely difficult when Liverpool go down to 9 men. And I get what you're saying. You're probably right. I'm probably right. And we just move on. And like at the end of the day, right, at this stage of under Ange Postecoglou's tenure, nobody expected us to be mixing it with Liverpool and right at the top of the league. Yeah, fine, it is only 7 games in, so you can't say we're where we deserve to be or anything like that. But it feels like we're very much ahead of schedule with where we expected to be at this stage under Ange. So you just got to be very positive about every situation.
100%. I am very positive about it, and to get the win was incredible. And look, the start of the season pretty much couldn't have gone better from our point of view. We keep our 100% record at home as well, and we keep the record up, scoring at least 2 goals in every game so far this season as well. So we keep that record up, which is incredible considering we lost Harry Kane at the beginning of the season. We haven't found goals hard to come by at all so far. So onwards and upwards, and I can't wait for the rest of the season.
Out for Harry Kane yesterday. Harry Kane. Yeah. If we had Harry Kane yesterday, that game's won probably in 90 minutes easy.
Yeah, he probably brings that bit of quality and guile. Sorry, that we were missing yesterday. All right, before that is your match review, and before we move on to the player ratings, let's get through a couple of super chats that have been sent through. Dark Sunji High says Liverpool karma for all their luck against us, 100%, and that's the biggest takeaway. I don't have any sympathy for Liverpool because look, Champions League final, they could have 10 years worth of bad decisions against us. It wouldn't make up for that. That's the reality, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
And
sorry,
then
1 sec.
Oh,
go on, carry on.
Right. And then Andrew Dean says Bissouma needs to take another yellow against Luton so he can take his suspension on the Fulham game. Can't afford him to miss Chelsea or Man City. If you were Bissouma, are you asking him to get a yellow card against Luton?
Let me just have a look at the fixtures. I mean, we need him to walk the tightrope all the way till January, to be honest.
Yeah, literally. 4 yellow
Bissouma's
cards
out for any game. It's a massive loss for us.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. But if you were to pick a game that he were to be out for, would Fulham be the best bet? Well, it's going to be difficult as well. It's going to be very difficult without him.
I'm trying to look at our fixtures, like who have we got in the next 5 games. So we've got Luton next, Fulham at home, Palace away, Chelsea at home. You know, at this stage, probably Chelsea at home, to be fair.
Maybe that's the best bet. Look, yeah, Palace away is a difficult game. I don't want him missing for that. I guess Fulham at home, maybe that's one we can get over the line without Bissouma. But hopefully he can avoid a booking up until January because it's going to be very difficult without him in the team. He provides such an important role.
Rodrigo Bentancur's return.
Yeah, we'll try. I reckon that'll be it. I remember there was one player, I can't remember who it was last season. I think it might have been Bentancur, who was like, he was on 4 yellow cards for ages because like we didn't want him to get another yellow card. He was able to get past the what would you call it? The point where the yellow cards get taken away without getting that 5th booking. So maybe Bissouma can do the same. That would be great. But look, let's get into the player ratings for the Liverpool game, and we'll start off with Vicario. We both gave him 8s. Look, apart from the 2 saves in that first half, obviously due to the red cards, he didn't have too much to do. Got beaten for the goal, which, to be fair, was pretty central, the strike, but I think he wasn't well sighted. He wasn't able to really see what was going on, so I don't want to give him too much shit for that. The goal which Diaz scored, which was ruled offside, that was just a clinical finish, and I don't think they had a shot on target really in that second half. So what he had to do, I thought he did pretty well. But do you blame him at all for the goal?
Look, you could say, if you're very harsh, you could say he could have done a little bit better, which is fair enough. I'm not going to argue against that, but I felt like he was exemplary throughout the game. When he was called upon, that double save in the first half, I thought was top notch, and I felt he was really commanding again from crosses when they were coming in the first half, catching them, punching them. I think he could have done a bit better, maybe playing out the back and his ball playing ability. But I love this man. I'm really falling in love with Vicario. And when he dropped to his knees when we scored as well, he wasn't looking when we scored the winner. And the passion coming out from him is just unbelievable. And I really believe now my opinion on him has just completely flipped 180. I think we got a top keeper here. I really do.
Mate, he's every week he's just putting in top performances, and he seems so assured as well with how he plays. And I think as well in the Premier League, I think he's top of the league for save percentage, which really goes to show how good he's been with his shot stopping so far this season. In terms of like his playing out the back, he didn't really have to have much to show because Liverpool were down a man for most of the game. But I thought what he had to do, he did well. Next up, we got Pedro Porro. Both of us gave him a 9, and both of us gave him our man of the match. I thought an exemplary performance from Pedro Porro. I thought most of all defensively, I thought he was so aggressive. I remember that challenge on Mo Salah in that second half where he's threatening to break away and he just comes sliding in. I thought Diaz was really struggling against him in that first half as well when he was down that left-hand side. I thought he was super aggressive. He showed that defensive aggression to him. I think on the ball, as usual, top-notch. Obviously assisted that late winner as well with a really good ball. And I just think he's, again, another player. He's improving week on week. And at the beginning of the season, we said, didn't we, maybe in these bigger games, this is where we bring in Emerson. But Porro's showing that even in these bigger games, he's probably better than Emerson to have.
Yeah, his attacking output is just insane. And that goal doesn't happen right at the end if we don't have Pedro Porro. I think if we have Emerson Royale at right back, I don't think that goal happens right at the end. So I think it's an unbelievable to see this growth in Pedro Porro week in, week out. I think he won like 7 out of his 10 ground duels. He won his only aerial duel. Diaz couldn't deal with him. The sliding tackles that he was making was exemplary. I mean, this guy is just, like you say, just growing week on week, and he's becoming one of our standout players at the moment.
And he dubs Robertson, didn't he, with a beautiful touch in that second half. I remember a really great turn. I think on the day, 6 tackles on the day as well, which is the most of anyone on the pitch, which is super impressive, especially for a player who we've questioned defensively. He seems to be really coming up trumps, and maybe Postecoglou's really doing a job with him. So fantastic from Pedro Porro. Keep it up. Next up, we got Cuti Romero. Both gave him 8s. Pretty good performance again from him. As you said in the match review, he did pretty much end that game as pretty much a CDM the way he was playing, but I thought he was super aggressive. Maybe for the goal, didn't cover himself in much glory the way he competed with Van Dijk for that header, but I thought by and large super aggressive performance yet again. Really complimented Van de Ven, and I thought his passing was really strong. So good performance from Romero.
Yeah, there were moments where he was just like doing those classic Cuti 1-2s where he just storms up the pitch. I love seeing that from him. And at one point, he's just like standing there as striker, waiting to receive the ball, which never came. But I thought the challenges that he was putting in was top notch. It was a dominant display once again from Cuti Romero. Picked up another yellow card, to be honest, which is 2nd in a row now. Let's hope this doesn't have come a consistent theme again in his play. But look, I thought it was a top display once again.
100%. Next up, we got Mickey Van de Ven. I gave him a 9. You gave him an 8. I thought he did so much good work when it comes to just recovering any balls over the top where Liverpool trying to break away into the space. He's just coming over and he's just being a touch of class again. There was one moment where they've played a through ball to Diaz and it looks like he's in on goal, but he just used his recovery pace to get there ahead of him, and it was just incredible to see that you can compete with a rapid player like Luis Diaz for pace. As we did mention in the review, he didn't cover himself in much glory with the goal. I felt that we conceded. He probably should have been a lot more aggressive in that front. But apart from that moment, I thought he was exemplary throughout, and another really top-notch display from Van de Ven.
Yeah, I don't even think it was just that moment, to be honest. I think, look, I agree with you 100% that it was an unbelievable display. And when Liverpool were trying to get in behind us, it was him that was getting out of trouble time and time again. It wasn't even just that one moment you were talking about. There were quite a few of them, to be honest, where it looked like Liverpool were through on goal, and up steps Mickey Van de Ven. That recovery pace is just insane from Mickey. And I was actually saying to Dad halfway through the game, is Mickey Van de Ven our best defender? Is he better than Cuti Romero?
That's a suggestion that's been made by a few people recently.
And I actually think like he might be. But anyway, that's a discussion for another day. Maybe we can bring that one up on the panel. But I think like there were 3 moments in there from Mickey Van de Ven that weren't great. There was the one you were talking about for the goal where he should have reacted quicker. There was the one that was given offside, where I thought Mo Salah got the better of him, where he probably shouldn't have. And there was one as well where I think Diaz got in behind him for that chance that you were talking about at the end of the first half as well. So there were a couple of moments where Mickey was caught out a little bit. So that's the reason why I kind of marked him down a little bit. But to have those moments in the game and still have an 8 or a 9, that just shows what a classy player he is.
Yeah, a defender who I just love watching as well week on week. He's so graceful on the ball. It's absolutely brilliant. Next up, Destiny Udogie. I gave him an 8. You gave him a 7. I thought he did obviously very well in the couple of situations where Jota got sent off. It was both fouls on Destiny Udogie, which was causing him a lot of problems. I thought on the left-hand side, I thought he dealt with Salah fairly well, but I felt, again, it was a bit like what we were talking about in the review. It wasn't Salah's kind of pace and trickery which was troubling him. It was more about his kind of intelligence and where he was picking up the ball, which was maybe hurting Udogie, and it wasn't totally on Destiny, it was maybe on the other defenders as well, but Salah was definitely picking up the ball in some dangerous situations, but we dealt with it pretty well, and I thought whenever Salah took him on, I thought he was pretty good up against him. Going forward, I thought he was creating a few chances. He ended the day with 3 key passes. I remember one where he got to the byline, had a really good cutback to Sarr, and if it wasn't for a good block on the goal from I think it was from Van Dijk, it would have been a good finish from Sarr. So that would have been a good moment from Udogie as well. And I thought throughout the day he was pretty good, but he did run out of steam a bit. Obviously, Ben Davies comes on late in the game for him, but I thought he had a pretty good display on the day, Destiny.
Yeah, no, he was impressive, and he's come up against Bukayo Saka and Mo Salah in the space of like 7 days. So not the easiest oppositions, to be honest. But I think he's passed both tests with flying colours. And I was talking about this through the game yesterday, and I think Mo Salah is probably pound for pound probably the best player in the Premier League right now, with his selfless running, his assists that he's laying on, and the goals that he's getting. And for Destiny Udogie to play like that against him, I thought it was an absolutely brilliant display. He picks up a yellow card, which I don't think was a yellow card. He gets Jota sent off with 2 fouls, receiving 2 fouls, which one was a foul, I thought anyway, in the space of 2 minutes. So he had a massive impact in the game. And I thought he defended well throughout, and he was charging forward as well at times. So I thought Destiny was really good display.
All right. Next up, we've got Yves Bissouma. We both gave him 8. So I thought he had a really strong start to the game. I thought in that first half, especially when it was 11 on 11, I thought he was dominating in there and looking really impressive. I thought a few of the things he did was like it gets to the stage where it's like, oh my God, he's just such a joke. The way he turns in his own third when he's being pressed and just easily breaks the press, I thought was phenomenal. I did feel like obviously he got that really bad knock from Curtis Jones, which got Curtis sent off. I didn't think it was bad. Obviously, he did some really good stuff. He got really lucky. There was one moment in the second half where Salah turned him, and he got very lucky that it was flagged for a foul, because I just thought he got turned on that moment, and they could have been in on goal there, Liverpool. And I thought sometimes his passing was a bit sloppy as well, going into late in the game. And also, he is another one who got taken off late. Maybe he wasn't 100%, but I thought in the end it was another good showing from Bissouma, but maybe it wasn't his best display, but still got an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I thought he started the game really well, like you say. And I felt like when we had 9 men, he was actually the one trying to pick up the ball in the central areas and trying to move it quickly and trying to make stuff happen. So I commend him for that. And there was that one moment where he ran back to dispossess Salah of the ball. I think it might have been off his own mistake, to be honest. But I think the way he dealt with Salah in that moment, I thought was top notch. It's just frustrating that he got that yellow card. So now literally one more booking now, and he's suspended, and he's going to be a massive loss for us, because the way he plays, you just know that booking is coming imminent.
Yeah, and look, as you say, he's on 4 bookings now. It's something Postecoglou said that at the before the game, he's got to watch himself because he's getting a lot of bookings at the moment, and he did end up getting another booking in this game. So hopefully he can tread a fine line between now and January where there's a grace period for the yellow cards, but it looks like it's probably inevitable at this point. He's going to have to miss a game, so let's hope it's not an important one. Next up, we got James Maddison. We both gave him 8s as well. I thought, obviously, our most creative player on the day. I thought he did brilliant for the goal, the opening goal with an amazing ball down the line to Richarlison. Had a couple of nice efforts which Alisson had to deal with from outside the box as well, which were probably a lot troubling for him. And I thought in the second half as well, he was the only one really picking up the ball in and around the penalty area and looked like he was going to do something with it and create a chance. But just like a few of our other better players as well, did seem to run out of steam a bit. Was taken off for that reason. But I thought he had a really creative. He also had a carbon copy of that first goal through to Richarlison, which Son tapped home, but that one was offside. But he showed the quality that he has, and I thought Liverpool struggled to deal with him.
Yeah, he was our most creative outlet. I don't think maybe it was as strong of a showing as maybe we have seen in recent weeks from him, because that's just the high bar that he has set. But it was a really good display. And that ball in for the first goal to Richarlison was top notch. And I was just frustrated when we took him off, because he was like our main source of any sort of creative outcome for the game. And when he did go off, it did seem like we ran out of ideas and ran out of questions for Liverpool, albeit he did go off in the 90th minute. So kind of make of that what you will. But look, Maddison is an absolutely unreal player, unreal signing. I just feel like his set pieces let us down a bit on the day.
Yeah, his corners were Eriksen-esque, weren't they? I remember there was someone around me every time Maddison took a corner. He just kept saying, "Is that Eriksen? I thought Eriksen left," every single time. So that was a bit disappointing. But I thought at the end he still had a great game. Pape Matar Sarr next up. I gave him an 8. You gave him a 7. A bundle of energy as he always is throughout the game. I thought he did do fairly well in possession. I remember a few really nice turns in the centre of the park, which Liverpool were struggling to deal with. Second half, though, maybe wasn't really as involved as he was in the first half, and was taken off for Ollie Skip late in the game. But I thought, on reflection, maybe an 8 is maybe a bit too much. But I thought the first half he was having a really good game. So that's what was kind of in the forefront of my mind when I gave him the rating. But what did you make of Pape?
Yeah, that's exactly why I dropped him down to a 7, because I was really impressed with him in the first half. I thought he was integral for us in terms of trying to get the better of Liverpool in the midfield. He was every blade of grass was being covered. He was getting shots off. He was being dangerous defensively and offensively. So he was a real handful to deal with in that first half. But he did kind of tire in that second half. And it was kind of frustrating because we had the extra man. And you would think, like, with the legs that Pape Matar Sarr has against 10 men, against 9 men, we can make it count a bit more. But, like, he kind of went missing a little bit in that second half.
Yeah, I agree with that. Next up, we got Richarlison starting off the left in this game. I gave him a 7, you gave him an 8. Obviously ended the game with a really good assist for Heung-min Son after a good run in behind. Did end up hitting the post as well in that first half. And I thought in the first half he was having a really good game, to be fair. He had that chance where he flashed it across the face of goal that someone could have tapped home and no one was there for. Second half as well, he had another good run in behind, which Son scored from, but he was just offside for that moment as well. But I felt like he did seem to wane in influence as the game went on, and once he went centrally, I don't think he had a kick. I don't remember once he moved into central striker, and it was pretty much not involved. But I thought in the first half he was having a great game, but I was a bit frustrated maybe from like the hour mark onwards, his influence diminished a bit.
Yeah, look, you can say that. That's a fair criticism, to be honest. But I felt like in that first hour, he was involved in everything good that we were doing. And all our big chances all came from him. He should have scored as well. Well, it would have been a great goal if he did score, but it struck against the post. And if that one goes in on the other side of the post, you're thinking, wow, what performance from Richarlison. But look, it doesn't go in. He's very unfortunate that it doesn't. But I was very happy with the way Richarlison played. It's his best performance of the season. And hopefully he can just keep going in this way, because I felt like you could really see the confidence is starting to come back into his game.
Are we feeling Richarlison is now going to be from the left from now on, or is just
he has to keep his spot?
No, I'm saying, but you think on the left, yeah? You think he's now going to be a left 100%. Winger for us? Very,
Yeah, I think he has to keep his spot. I think Sonny is so much more suited to the number 9 role, and you can't have someone that is such an elite finisher not be there as the number 9 to gobble up all those chances. So I think Richarlison works so hard for the team on the left-hand side, and his passing seems to have got better the last couple of games too. So let's keep it how it is, because I think we're onto a good thing here with Sonny as number 9.
Okay, next up, well, let's talk about Heung-min Son. We both gave him 8s. Another good performance from him in the number 9 position. Obviously, ended up scoring the first goal with obviously found a bit of space in the box and tapped it home, which is something that we've been saying, like, Son without space, does he struggle? But he ended up finding a bit of space in the box and tapping home the first one. Had a brilliant volley, didn't he? Which was tipped over from Alisson in the second half, which really would have been a fantastic goal. Had a goal ruled out for offside in the second half as well. So I thought he wasn't that involved in the game, but when he was involved, he was looking to make the difference, and that's what Son can do. And I thought, considering as well, what Ange said before the game, that he was only really going to play between an hour and 70 minutes, and he wasn't 100% fit going into it. I thought he did make a difference in that game, and at the end, showing his passion again with the win, just showing how. What a great captain he is. And when he did that at the end of as well, that when he comes to Southampton, it just shows that passion in him with that win. It's just something we never saw from Harry Kane. As much as we had that connection with him, we never really saw that proper passion from him with the fans. And I'm just loving it from Sonny.
Yeah, and that's why I said Heung-min Son is the best captain since Deadly King. And I got corrected by my uncle when I said that. He says, no, he's not the best captain since Deadly King. He's the best captain since Steve Perryman, he says. So, look, Heung-min Son, I don't think it was like an amazing display yesterday, but I think like everything that he did to a really high level, like you said. Obviously gets on the score sheet. Liverpool must be sick to the sight of him. He always seems to score against them. That volley was just insane, and it was a top save by Alisson, to be honest, to keep that one out. And look, when you're playing against a low block, when you're playing against very congested areas of the pitch, that's just not Heung-min Son's game. And if it kind of like, if it stayed against 10 men or stayed against 11 men, it would have suited the game for Sonny a bit more. But once it went down to 9 men, it just became really hard for Son. And I think he went off actually just before it went to 9 men, to be honest. But even at 10 men,
it was just after, I believe. It was just after. Literally a minute after, I think.
So, I mean, he just found it hard to kind of navigate his way through those congested areas.
Yeah, I agree with that. But still showing, look, he just loves scoring against Liverpool. I think that's 6 goals in his last 7 games now against Liverpool. So he's got a great
behind Haaland.
Oh, hello. Exactly. Maybe catching up a bit. Next up, we have Dejan Kulusevski, who's played on the right-hand side. We both gave him 7s. I thought for the first hour or so was having a really strong game. I thought he was, again, I think he does such an underrated role for the team with his ability to hold the ball on that right-hand side and keep possession away from the opposition and carry the ball forward and into the penalty area and create chances, which I think he did. I think at the end of the day, he ended the game with 5 key passes, which is more than any other player on the pitch. But why I marked him down a bit was just I felt those last 20 minutes, I was very disappointed with him. He seemed to run out of ideas a lot. He was just cutting inside and passing it back. He wasn't really creating anything. He had a couple of moments as well where he was overhitting crosses where if we had some good quality in those situations, we could have really hurt Liverpool. So that was frustrating. But I think by and large, again, I was happy with his performance. But those last 20 minutes, a bit like the rest of the team, he was a bit frustrating.
Yeah, I felt like in the early stages of the game, he was actually our best player. The way he was picking up the ball, he was driving. They couldn't really get the ball off him at times. But it's not, those moments are not the ones where I question Dejan Kulusevski. What I question him on is on his end product afterwards. And I felt like his end product throughout the 90 minutes was really frustrating. His crossing, his passing, I felt like those were really frustrating me, to be honest, throughout the game. But the way he was getting the ball and kind of trying to relieve the team of pressure and driving at the fullback and driving into central areas and cutting inside, I was really impressed. But it's his end product again that was really frustrating.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Next up, Manor Solomon, who came on for Heung-min Son, played on the left side. Both gave him sixes. Didn't really impact the game too much. Obviously, he was had a couple of runs at Trent Alexander-Arnold, which looked bright, but wasn't really able to get any crosses in or create anything. The only time he did get a shot off, it was a deflection and nearly falls to Richarlison, but obviously goes wide in the end. But it wasn't a great cameo from Manor. Just didn't especially when you're up against 9 men, you need good quality from the wingers, and he just was a bit wasn't anonymous because he got the ball a bit, but wasn't really able to impact the game.
Yeah, I felt like he did a good job in terms of just keeping Trent Alexander-Arnold. I guess he was always going to be that with 9 men, but pinned back down to that right back spot. He attacked him a few times, but yeah, like you say, at that point in the game, we need real quality. Like an Ivan Perisic. Like if Ivan Perisic is coming on for these last few minutes against 9 men, you're much more confident of going and getting the goal with a good cross in the box than a Manor Solomon, unfortunately.
Yeah, completely agree with that. Obviously, there are some other substitutes, but we're not going to give them ratings. They weren't on for long enough. But Højbjerg, Davis, who else came on? Højbjerg, Davis, Veliz, and anyone else came on? Højbjerg, Davis, and Veliz. Anyone else? So I think they came on, and Skip as well. Ollie Skip came on for Sarr as well. They came on and added a bit of energy, but didn't really do much when it came to any quality in the final third. But it was just a shame because I felt like they came on not because it was a tactical decision. I felt like they came on for Basuma, Maddison, and Son, and I felt like and Udogie as well. But like, they came on because they were lacking a bit of energy. Maybe they were tiring a bit and getting affected by a few injuries they picked up during the game. So it wasn't one of those things where it was tactical, I felt, and they didn't really impress me, any of them, apart from maybe Højbjerg, who was all right, but Veliz didn't really have too many touches when he came on, so not too much to comment about those subs.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say about them. It's just frustrating that these are the players that we have to turn to go and grab a win. You're talking about predominantly defensive players in Højbjerg, Ben Davies, and Ollie Skip, and you're playing against 9 men. We need to find solutions to unlock, not sit back. And I know they didn't sit back; that wasn't their remit, but that's what they're best at.
Yeah, 100%. They're definitely best when we're trying to hold a result rather than trying to win a game. There were rumours before the game that like Brian Hill or Jamie Donnelly were going to be on the bench, but unfortunately, I didn't come to pass.
Donnelly was on the bench.
Oh, Donnelly was on the bench?
Yeah,
shame they didn't turn to him in that moment. Then next up, last but not least, Ange Postecoglou. We both gave him 8s. Obviously, fantastic win. I thought we played well on the day against a really good Liverpool side. Obviously, circumstances did fall in our favour, and we did end up getting the rub of the green from refereeing decisions. But that mentality that he's instilled and that togetherness is a massive part of why I'm giving him this rating. And obviously, look, I don't think the subs or anything he could have done much about, but I think it's just more about the belief he's got, and the way this club is going is unbelievable. So gave him an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I kind of feel the exact same way against you. It was our toughest game of the season so far in terms of what Liverpool had to offer. At 11 on 11, I felt like we were definitely under pressure. But I felt like no matter what happened, you saw what happened in the game, you can't have any complaints about it because it's the referee's decision on the day. And we kept going. We found a solution right at the end, and we took home 3 points against a very good Liverpool side. So last 2 games now, 4 points against Arsenal and Liverpool. We move on to a favourable run of fixtures now, and you got to commend Ange Postecoglou for the way he's managed this football club. Everything has changed from the mentality in the stands, the mentality of the pitch, and we're kind of going into every game now like thinking, all right, we can get a result here.
Yeah, 100%. And we've got nothing to fear now. Look, away the Emirates, we got a draw. Home to Liverpool, even under difficult circumstances, we got the win as well. So I'm just couldn't be happy with our start to the season. It just makes me so excited for every Spurs game in the moment. And who knows what we can achieve. Postecoglou was asked after the game, are you ahead of schedule? And he's like, look, we don't have a schedule. We're just taking it game by game, and we'll see where we're at. And we're just going to keep improving. And that's the really good mentality to have, because you start thinking of schedules goals and all these things and 5-year plans, you can get distracted by all these things. And I think it's the right approach for where we're at the moment. And I'm loving what we're doing at the moment with Ange Postecoglou. So look, bring on next week. We've got Luton next. Spurs sit second in the league, and let's just keep it going. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
It's classic Spurs, though, wouldn't it? Be classic Spurs to after these 2 results, go lose to Luton.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
Let's won't let it happen, though.
Yeah, let's hope we stay on the ground and stay humble, as I think Vicario said on the game. That's how we got to approach it. All right, next up, we do have the 5 takeaways of the game, where we look at 5 things we can learn from the game and the win against Liverpool. So let's get into that. The first takeaway we have is perfect Porro. And I thought Pedro Porro, for me, was my man of the match. I thought he was exceptional throughout. The stats, I think, speak for themselves. 6 tackles, more than anyone on the pitch, 5 clearances, 1 interception, 3 key passes, 1 dribble as well, 7 out of 10 ground duels completed, and obviously he assisted that last-minute winner, which I thought was just a cherry on top of what was an incredible performance from Pedro Porro for a player who's just improving week on week.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. He is improving week on week, to be honest. Defensively is what we were all worried about coming into this season. It doesn't seem to faze him. He seems to be getting better defensively every single week, and it's not bad, like, for Pedro Porro to do that against or under a manager who said, like, he doesn't take any pride in keeping clean sheets and his defensive stats and everything like that. He seemed to have brought Pedro Porro on absolute leaps and bounds from a defensive standpoint. It hasn't taken away anything from his attacking output as well. Like I said in the player ratings, that goal does not happen if Emerson Royale is there and Pedro Porro isn't on the pitch. So I couldn't be more happier with the way Pedro Porro is playing at the moment.
Yeah, 100% agree. Next up, we have Son, the Liverpool killer, who got another goal yesterday against Liverpool, which makes it 6 goals in his last 7 games against Liverpool after he opened the scoring yesterday. Obviously, it wasn't his most amazing performance, but he was definitely involved in a lot of the great actions that we did have. He opened the scoring. He had a great volley, which was saved by Alisson as well, which could have put us in the lead. He did have a goal ruled out from offside as well. So even in a game where he clearly wasn't 100%, and Postecoglou did say before the game, after the game, there was always the plan to maybe take him off after the hour. He still did make an impact even under those circumstances. And look, at 6 goals now in 7 games in the Premier League as well. So he started the season phenomenally when it comes to goal scoring, chasing down Haaland, who's obviously away in the Golden Boot race. But look, maybe he really is that substitute, that number 9 that we were looking for all along.
He is that guy. Sonny is that guy. I mean, you don't find someone in the Premier League that has better finishing than Heung-min Son. He's got better finishing than Erling Haaland, Heung-min Son. I mean, at least Haaland is missing sitters every game, and as much as he's scoring. But Heung-min Son, he just needs 1 chance. That's all he needs, and it's in the back of the net. He showed it against Arsenal. He showed it against Liverpool, and he's going to keep showing it throughout the season. This guy is an elite striker in terms of his finishing and his movement in behind. And I felt like if this game went on with 11 men for longer, you probably would have seen Heung-min Son get even more chances and probably scored another goal.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. So the circumstances of the game probably went against him in a weird way, even though we had the extra man. But I think the fact that he wasn't 100%, but Postecoglou said he was just so desperate to play, and he needed to start, and he feels that responsibility for the team. And the fact that he started and got the goal, and could have had another with a volley as well, just shows the quality and the responsibility he holds. And he's just an incredible player, an incredible captain for us as well. And I just love to see that passion at the end of the game. Next takeaway is extra man struggles, and this is just the evidence of how we did struggle when they did go down to 9 men to really create any chances, and when they went into that low block. In the 40 minutes that we played against Liverpool's 10 men, we created 1.51 XG, and we looked like we created a lot more chances, a lot more dangerous. But in the 30 minutes that we played against 9 men, we only created 0.64 XG, which I think shows how we did really struggle to really break them down and create any chances. And it was a bit concerning that it was not necessarily about the lack of lack of creativity that we had. It was just that we failed to ask enough questions, I felt, when they went down to 9 men, and it felt like we didn't really know what approach was best to take, and maybe that's something to learn from. But I did feel like once they went down to 10 men, albeit it was always going to be difficult, we did really struggle to create any sort of opportunities.
It seemed like we looked a bit like disjointed going forward. And like you say, it's like we didn't know how to manage the game at that point because we've never been there. And maybe Ange hasn't kind of prepared to play against 9 men, which is fair enough. But I think, look, it's a lesson that Spurs are going to have to learn from. In terms of what you've seen so far from Spurs, this is probably, and that period of the game is probably the most disjointed we've looked under Ange Postecoglou, and it's no kind of surprise that it was against 9 men. They've completely just put every man behind the ball. It's something that we just weren't planning for, and we should have done better and should have navigated the game better at that stage. But I always felt it was going to be really difficult against 9 men because of the way they were going to set up.
Yeah, and that's what it proved to be. But look, we did end up getting that win in the end, thanks to an own goal. But let's hope next time we don't have to rely on that to get the victory. But I'll take it any day of the week. Next up, we talk about Richarlison's improvement. And obviously, so ever since really he's come back from international break and he's spoken about his being open about his struggles in his personal life and all that stuff. I do feel like there's been a big improvement from Richarlison on the pitch, and I think yesterday was another case of that. I think on the day 5 shots, which is more than anyone, 2 shots on target, 2 key passes, one of them being the assist as well for Humanson's opening goal. Off the ball as well, he had 2 tackles, 2 interceptions, really working hard for the team. He did hit the post as well, which was very close to doubling Spurs' lead at the time. Unfortunately, when he did move centrally, he did really seem to struggle because he was a lot more involved in the game when he was off the left. But for the 30 minutes that he was central, he only had 4 touches, which really shows his lack of involvement when he was central striker. But I did feel like off the left did show a massive improvement, and I do think in general, Sheffield United, he came off the bench, got a goal and assist. Last week against Arsenal, made a bit of an impact when coming off the bench as well. And I thought started this game against Liverpool and showed some quality.
Yeah, he was causing a nuisance. He was being a nuisance of himself, or making a nuisance of himself throughout the whole time he was on the pitch, to be honest, especially in the first half or when he was out on the left. And I feel like this role on the left with Heung-min Son in the middle is the way to go, to be honest. I'm really liking the mentality from Richarlison since coming back from the internationals. He seems to be getting to grips with things, getting in and amongst it, being aggressive, providing quality as well. I know he didn't get on the score sheet, but in the last couple of games, he's been getting on the score sheet, grabbing himself assists. So I think we're going in the right directions with Richarlison. And after the first kind of moments or the first 5 games of the season, you were thinking, all right, is it ever going to click for Richarlison? But I think you're starting to see the early signs of it really starting to click for him now.
Yeah, I agree with that. And last but not least, VAR messes up. And this, look, we have to admit, as much as we got the win and we're absolutely delighted with it, the PGMO obviously announced after the game that there was a massive error in VAR with that Luis Diaz goal, and you have to just take that into account when looking at the result of this game. They confirmed after the game as well that the goal was checked by VAR and they did see the lines, but what happened was that the VAR assumed that the goal was given on the pitch, and they didn't realize that the decision on the field was actually given offside, and they were supposed to be checking whether the goal should be given. And so when they said check complete, what happened was the referee assumed the check was complete for the offside and not the onside, which the VAR was assuming they were checking for. So an almighty cock up from VAR, and Spurs definitely got away with one. But with all the bad refereeing decisions that Spurs have had over the years, not to notice as well the Champions League final, definitely we got our own back on that one, but we definitely got away with one in that situation.
Yeah, massively so. But like I keep saying, I am here for it. The amount of times that Liverpool have done this, the amount of times the boot's been on the other foot, it's just so nice and refreshing to finally be on the kind of winning end of one of these decisions. Like, it's just the amount of times it's happened to us against Liverpool, it's just crazy how many times you're actually talking about, whether you're looking at the Sissoko one, Jota one from last year, the offside one from a couple of years ago, the amount of missed chances as well that we've had against them. I mean, it's just so nice for Spurs to have their own slice of luck against Liverpool. So I'm not hearing any of the Liverpool fans' complaints because they've had years of it.
100%, absolutely 100%. So those are your 5 takeaways of things we can learn from the Liverpool game, and thank you for that. Next up, we are going to go look at Twitter Reacts, or Reacts as we call it, Reacts. I guess we can start looking at that and we can bring that on. First up, one sec, we're just going to get it ready. And we'll look, is there any more super chats? So, okay, we've got it here. Okay, first up, we're looking at Jaco, who tweeted, "If you don't appreciate Kulu in this team, you're not understanding football. He's our most important forward so far, constantly creating chances and superiority on the ball. He can handle the pressure of multiple defenders without losing the ball. His ball retention is elite." And I think those things do go under the radar when people are assessing Kulusevski, because I think those things, they look easy, but they are actually very difficult to do on the football pitch. And I think Kulusevski does it to a really, really high level. And although his maybe his finishing or assist making hasn't been top notch, I think those aspects of the game aren't as quantifiable as maybe goals and assists, and I think they do go under the radar.
Yeah, it's definitely a case to say that, but again, like you need to be doing better in your end product. And look, I know he's got a few goals over the past month or so, which is fair enough, but I think, like, in this game specifically, he was doing such good work in terms of his ball retention, dribbling ability, taking on his man, and being just a sheer physical presence up there. But I felt like he just needs to do better in terms of his end product and actually delivering for us on the big occasion.
Yeah, agreed. Hopefully that starts to improve as the season goes on. Next up, Spurs Express, looking at the numbers of Pedro Porro's game against Liverpool. He got an 8.3 on SofaScore, 86% pass accuracy, 6 out of 6 successful tackles, 7 out of 10 ground duels, 1 out of 1 aerial duels, 3 chances created, and 6 recoveries made. So, but then he says, but he can't defend. I think that goes to show maybe he's proving a lot of people wrong there.
Pedro Porro is a top right back, man. He really is. And as I keep saying, growing week on week in a Spurs shirt. I've got to say, he's probably one of the best right backs in the Premier League. Who's been better than him in the Premier League at right back?
So far this season, I can't think of anyone. I think he's been sensational. I think he's had a phenomenal start to the Premier League season. Going forward and defensively, I think he's really shown both sides to his game. So couldn't be happier with his performances so far.
It's the
Next
defensive
up,
side that's even more impressive than the attacking side, because we knew he had the attacking thing in him. We know that. We've seen that all last season, but we've never seen the defensive side, and unbelievable.
Yeah, 100%. He actually seems to be thriving defensively as opposed to just like getting by as well, which is really, really impressive. Next up is this video from Vicario celebrating the winner, and it's from Hotspur Edition. It says, "Vicario is slowly becoming one of my favorite players. This video is just beautiful, and look how he just drops to his knees and celebrates that last-minute winner. Absolutely phenomenal from Vicario. You just love to see it. So there is Vicario celebrating. It's just absolute scenes, and there's going to be a lot of scenes in this Twitter React. So keep your eye out for that, but absolutely phenomenal from Vicario. You just love to see that celebration as he drops to his knees, and I think he's probably like a lot of Spurs fans at that moment, just the relief coming over us, and he just stands there with his arms up for like 30 seconds. It's just absolutely brilliant from Vicario. Next up, it's quotes from Sonny after the game. He says, "I think the victory became more special because we scored in the last attack for 2 consecutive home games. I was impressed by the players' sacrifice spirit and their refusal to give up until the end. I really want to say thank you for everyone who worked hard until the end, both to the players and the fans." Lovely quotes there from Heung-min Son. Talking THFC says, we never effing give up. Come on, you Spurs. That's more C's as well. I think this is at the end of the game, maybe the final whistle. So that is I think so, yeah. It's just great scenes in the ground there. You can see phenomenal stuff. Spurs OTM said vibes right now. That's probably Richarlison. That was all of us probably going into the night at the end of the game. That was definitely Richarlison, I think, going in the end of the game, 100%. You just love to see it. Absolutely phenomenal stuff. Definitely vibes. And that's that video from Ricardo again, which we can breeze past. Next up is the interchange between Cuti Romero and McAllister on Instagram, which was great to see. McAllister says McAllister replied to a Romero post on Instagram saying it's normal when you play against 12 men. Obviously, it's Romero celebrating the win, and Romero replies to him and says, "Go cry at home." So Romero having none of it with his Argentinian compatriot. So you absolutely love to see that. Absolutely love to see that for Romero, taking no shit just like he does it on the pitch. This video has been taken down, so you can breeze over that. This is scenes, a lovely picture of Romero jumping into the crowd at the end of the game. I think you can see who's that. Ashley Phillips is there. Richarlison's in the middle of the melee. Everyone just jumping into the crowd. Absolutely incredible. Bassoum is there as well.
Passion,
what a moment.
Passion.
Is that Jamie Donnelly I see there just under Basuma as well?
Yeah,
I think that's Jamie Donnelly as well. Absolutely getting involved in it. And the fans are just going wild in the background. These pictures you absolutely love to see. This is Sonny and Maddison after the final whistle, just showing their passion, celebrating together as part of the leadership group. Absolutely phenomenal as well. And I just love these videos. I don't know who's capturing them, but I love watching these videos at the end of games. This is from Cho on social media. I think he's the one. I think it must be him because he looks like he's uploaded it himself. So it must be him capturing it at the end of the games. I just love these videos of Heung-min Son just showing his passion at the end of the games. It's absolutely
the togetherness in this squad is something special. It really is. Like, I haven't seen a squad this together for so long now. And couple that with the fans and the mentality of the fans and how loud we've been all season. I mean, it is gearing up for a really special era at Spurs now.
100%, and Son to head that era as well. I can't think of a better person to do it. And I just love how his smile is so infectious, and his passion, he doesn't hide from it, does he? He loves to show it on the pitch, and that's what you love to see. I hate to go back to Kane and compare it, but Kane was always obviously a leader by example. He was always very much like a reserved figure, wasn't he, Harry Kane? He wasn't really one to show outward amounts of passion like Heung-min Son does. So I just love it's creating more of that connection there. I love this. Look at Mickey van der Ven's reaction to the winner as well. He just absolutely drops it. He just can't believe it. He's just done after we scored that winner. That reaction to the goal is absolutely phenomenal from Mickey van der Ven. Absolutely love to see it. He's probably a lot of Spurs fans. The next one is Ange Postecoglou. That was his post-match.
First, just reflect on the result.
His post-match after the Sky Sports game. After the Sky Sports, his interview with the. Oh, it's not the full thing. He's just. I don't know what I've liked here.
This is a fan in the backgroround shouting, "Ange, I love you."
Oh, brilliant! Absolutely brilliant. I don't know if you can hear it, but there you go. There you go. People can hear it. Lovely. This is a brilliant picture after the winner. Incredible picture from Spurs. You see Porro's taken off his shirt at the bottom left, and all the players running over. The fans are going crazy. The Liverpool players have dropped to their knees. Not to say it's like a similar situation, but it reminds me of that Ajax picture when you just see Lucas Moura running over and all the Ajax players have dropped to their knees. It's reminiscent of that, but absolutely phenomenal picture there. Lucas Moura.
I love that from Porro, though. Like, he's not even like the goal scorer. I know it's an assist for an own goal, but he takes off his shirt and shows his name to the fans. I was like, come on, man. Absolutely brilliant.
Lucas Moura enjoyed that last-minute winner from Spurs, just spamming coys as he loves to do. You love to see it. Van der Ven and Romero having some communication on Instagram. Van der Ven commenting on Romero's post saying "boss," and Romero replies says "Mickey Mouse" with some heart emojis. I love Romero on Instagram. Brilliant. This is Son with coming over to the South Stand after the game and showing his passion. Is an absolutely brilliant video. You love to see Heung-min Son after the game. It's becoming a ritual now, Heung-min Son coming over to the Spurs fans after the game and them going absolutely crazy. I just absolutely love Heung-min Son. What a man.
It's going to be such a shock to the system when we lose a game.
We're not losing. Come on. We're going the season unbeaten. Billy T says, I've never witnessed scenes like this in my life. Absolute scenes at the end of the game. And this is after the game as well. And again, what I love with what we've been doing this season after wins is playing all these party anthems after the game. And it's just becoming a party at the end of games and everyone's going crazy. And it just gives the wins just more of a sense of occasion every time now. And absolutely loving that. It's great I have to give credit to the club and also, Return of the Shelf and all the other guys who are in contact with the club about improving the atmosphere. I think they're doing Spurs song sheets as well. They're doing a great job because I'm pretty sure they've been part of these initiatives to get all these to improve. Like the trumpet before the game, it really gives tingles down my spine when I hear the trumpet and you hear Spurs singing when the Spurs before kickoff as well. And they're really doing a great job because the atmosphere is just unbelievable at the moment at the ground, especially after wins like this. And the scene's incredible.
No, it's nothing like the cringy North London Forever when they're not even like originally from North London. So this is like more unique and more what's the word I'm trying to look for? I don't know, but it's much better.
It's much better. Tottenham with another fan. Look, there's some phenomenal pictures coming out, but they said the journey continues. There's another phenomenal picture of the Spurs players jumping into the crowd here, and you can zoom in on all these faces, just unbelievable. You just love to see all these the unbelievable jubilation on the Spurs fans' faces is incredible. Romero's jumping to the crowd, incredible scenes at the end of the game. I think we looked at this picture already, so we can go over it. Romero tweeting after the game says, this team has great spirit, great heart, always like this, all together at Spurs Official. Some great pictures of Romero after the win as well. Look at him taking a picture of him wiping out Sally. Yeah, gotta love it. He loves it. He just loves it, doesn't Romero? A bit of shithousery. Next picture from Spurs again, our captain, and this is pictures of Heung-min Son just jubilant after the game. Never going to get bored of that sunny smile. Best smile in football, 100%. What a guy. And again, considering
he just warms my heart, man. This guy just warms my heart.
Absolutely brilliant. This is from Spurs Watchers. I've never seen a more unfair game. Yeah, cry more, Jurgen, cry more. Absolutely love to see it. This was after the game as well. This is also sent tingles down my spine when they played Angels after the game. Also becoming now a post-match tradition with Ange Postecoglou getting serenaded by the Spurs fans after the game, and it's unbelievable. And I remember I got a few texts from my Australian friends they sent me that clip, and they just said this is just absolutely epic. And they're not even Spurs fans. They're just like, I've got some Aussie friends, they're just watching it and they just can't believe it as well. And I just loving those moments after games. It's incredible how we serenade Postecoglou. Fantastic stuff. Lee McQueen tweeting a picture of Vicario. We saw the video, but it's a great picture capturing the moment in time. Big up Lee McQueen. A brilliant picture from Vicario as well with his hands in the air. Lias, if you know Lias from SDS, he was saying Porro was excellent today. I thought he's giving Porro his dues. You love to see it. This video from Van de Ven we saw already. The Romero thing we saw already. This is James Maddison saying goosebumps once again. He's absolutely loving life. Another great picture coming out from the game, him celebrating Basuma. This is, I think, when he was dancing with the fans after the game as well. So you absolutely love to see that. Coy says, I really don't want to hear Liverpool fans claim corruption. And here's a picture of all the bad decisions we've gotten over the years against Liverpool. Jota should have been sent off last season. The fake handball in the Champions League final, which should never have been given. This is the next one, Robbo against Tanganga, which was a clear red card, which wasn't given at the time. And this was Heung-min Son, which wasn't offside, which was given offside at Anfield under Mourinho as well. So we've had our fair share of bad decisions against Liverpool, it's fair to say. Definitely right.
Exactly. They got what they deserved yesterday, Liverpool. So suck it and see.
100%. We went through Porro's stats. We can already, so we can go through over that one. We've liked a lot of things. So apologies if there's some double likes. This is Pedro Porro, a crucial role in our win. A brilliant picture, him celebrating that last-minute winner. And Pedro Porro himself says, "Sorry to those who have me in the fantasy team. The emotion at the end was inevitable." I think that's because he got booked for taking off his shirt. So he's apologizing to everyone, but it had to happen. It had to happen. And there is a picture of him taking off his shirt. Brilliant stuff. Fuad, big up Fuad. No, definitely not. No need to apologize. Fuad, big up to him. He says, "Don't care how you get it, just make sure you get it. Hold tight, the 3-point collectors." And it's another great picture after the game of the players celebrating. I never get bored of any of these pictures at the end of games. It's absolutely brilliant. There's Madison in the center of things. Sonny, you can see Sonny and Sarah also struck up an unbelievable relationship, haven't they? They look so together. It's unbelievable. Man. Yeah, it's so true.
The whole squad is just so together. Just so together. It's just so great to see, isn't it? Because we've like I keep saying, it's just been complete flip 180. It's gone from everything was fractured, from fan base to club to players to everything, and now everyone just seems so together. It's just so great.
Axel THFC says, "Klopp is so unlikable. We haven't forgotten about this." And this is Klopp after Jota should have been sent off last season. Says, "Wanting Jota off the pitch, worry about other stuff." So you worry about other stuff apart from offsides, mate. Worry about keeping your players on the pitch, mate. You can do one, Jurgen. You can do.
And you know what? Liverpool, they've had 4 red cards already this season.
Yeah,
this ain't anything new as well.
Well, to be fair, I think one of them was overturned after the fact, wasn't it? I think the McAllister one. Yeah, and then those two yesterday, they can have a bit of complaining, but look, there's definitely something weird going on with Liverpool and the red cards. Pi Sports Booze says, "Debate over. It was well onside, and here's the definitive proof." Well onside for Luis Diaz. Dale Johnson talking about the VAR process. We've spoken about it before, but essentially what he was saying was the VAR thought that the on-field decision was given onside. So when VAR was checking the goal, they were checking for it to confirm the onside. And what happened was the decision was offside. So when they said check complete, they thought they were confirming a goal, but what happens was they were confirming an offside. So it was a bit of a shit show from VAR. But if you want to go read the thread, that's from Dale Johnson on Twitter. Here's the bench's reaction to the last-minute winner. Absolute scenes as well. Brilliant video. You can see Postecoglou with his arms in the air. Sonny running down the touchline. It's a brilliant video. Again from Cho, so it must have been him uploading it. Unbelievable video of the last-minute scenes from the players on the bench running over. There's Fraser Forster jumping in as well. Absolutely love to see it. I just love these videos. I've been watching them all night. It's been absolutely brilliant. Brilliant reactions again.
I think I was up till like 3-4 in the morning watching them.
Literally. It's unbelievable scenes. What's Richarlison? I don't know what I'm looking at this. Richarlison's like putting his arms up. I don't know who he's shouting at. Allison's going up to him complaining about something, and Richarlison's having words with him, which is great to see. And yeah, unbelievable video. Tottenham Feed says, "Good night all," and that's again scenes at full time. The Son celebrating with all the players. Fantastic stuff. I don't know if we can show because that's from Sky Sports. But look, Paddy Power says the man in charge of the VAR for Spurs versus Liverpool, and there's Jermaine Genius in the VAR room just doing the VAR. Fantastic stuff.
Big up, JJ.
Big up to him. David Ellis says, "Suck it in." And there's Basuma. I think he celebrates with his young child coming onto the pitch after the game. I think this is the moment that he comes on, I think, if I remember rightly. I think we see it here. Basuma. Yeah. It's a really lovely, heartwarming moment with him. There we go. And he brings him onto the pitch. Lovely, heartwarming moment. Look at that on his shoulders. These are the moments that they'll remember for a long time. Lovely stuff.
Absolutely.
And I just hate the celebration, please. I saw the celebration, please, out like, oh my God, Basuma's celebrating with his son on the pitch after a win against 9 men. The disgrace was like, oh, obviously, get over yourself, people. Honestly. Just allow people to enjoy the moment. Got a last-minute win against Liverpool and people complaining that there were scenes, honestly. People need to get a life. Daily Hotspur says Saka challenge complete, Salah challenge complete at 20 years of age. Destiny Udogie is looking like one of the best talents around. And not going to disagree with that. Hotspur Related says Tottenham now beaten all 25 teams they have played in the Premier League at the new stadium. So it looks like Liverpool was the last one. That was
I was actually thinking about that yesterday. Because we hadn't beaten Man United and we hadn't beaten Liverpool. I was only thinking about the top 6, but impressive that's all 25.
100%. Finally got those records. Key ESP35 says this was the, in quotations, foul that led to the Liverpool goal. By the way, don't see any Liverpool fans mentioning this one. And Udogie clearly getting the ball, and not sure why the referee gives a foul here. Maybe because there was a bit of afters, but not don't know what Udogie can do with that. So I think that was, and he got a yellow card for that as well. So I think that was a bad decision from the referee.
That.
Exactly. This one, the video is gone. These were scenes after the game, fans going absolutely mental. Absolutely love to see it. The fans were just jumping up and down. It was great to be a part of it. And the last one, I think, the last one is Dan giving Ben his prop. Says, so Ben was right. We actually got 4 points in the end from those 2 games. So there we go. Ben getting his props on Twitter.
You all.
People don't forget.
4 points minimum,
people. Don't forget. And that is Twitter Reacts. And before we end the show, I want to just give a bit of a mention to this very heartwarming story that we got emailed for actually before the game, and we've got some pictures. We'll bring on the pictures in a sec, but I want to just read out the story just to give context to the viewers for this. So we got this text from a charity called Anthony Nolan about a young teenage Tottenham fan who's going to his first ever game with a man who gave him his second chance at life. And I'm just going to read out the story because I thought it was it was a very emotional story, and I thought it's good to give it a bit of good to end the show on a very heartwarming story. So here's the background to 15-year-old Rupert and his donor Billy. After a random blood test to check on recurring headaches, Rupert was diagnosed with a rare blood disorder called I'm going to absolutely butcher this, myelodysplasia, with monosomy, aged just 7 years of age. Despite a year of treatment at Great Ormond Street, doctors told Rupert's family that the stem cell transplant was his only chance for a cure. Luckily, Anthony Nolan found a donor for Rupert on the register, and he has had his life-saving transplant in 2016. Rupert was soon back to his old self and is now an active 15-year-old. 2 years later, when Rupert turned 10 years of age, he and his family were about to meet Rupert's donor Billy in an emotional meeting captured in 2018. Rupert and Billy have continued a close friendship ever since. Holly, Rupert's mum, says it's like he's gained another son. Rupert got into football a few years ago and loves Tottenham, the same team as Billy, his donor. Despite being a huge fan, he has never been to a game before this Saturday, with Billy taking Rupert to his first ever game. Holly, who's Rupert's mum, thought that his choice to support Tottenham was slightly random, but when she asked why he has chosen to support Tottenham, he said it's because of the team that's Billy supported, who is his donor. So going to the game together was a really special moment for them. Billy and donors like him are part of the Anthony Nolan's League of Lifesavers. From Arsenal to York City, everyone has a football team that they are loyal to. But what if they all had a common goal in mind for change? A goal to save more lives. It shouldn't matter who you support or where you come from. What should matter is the patients with blood cancer or blood disorder should all be given an equal opportunity of a second chance of life. The more people that sign up for Stem Cell Register and join this league, the League of Lifesavers, the more likely patients will find life-saving matches that they need. And actually, we have pictures of Rupert and Billy at the game yesterday in what was Rupert's first ever game at the Tottenham Stadium. And what a game to be at as well. And I just can imagine the scenes for them at the end of the game. And it's just a very heartwarming story, which I found we'd end the show. And there's Rupert and Billy at the ground before the game. There they are outside the ground as well. And I think we have a video, in fact, of them celebrating the... Big up up for Billy for being an unbelievable donor. Big up for Rupert as well, making his first appearance at the Tottenham Stadium. So if you do want to go check out Anthony Nolan and the League of Lifesavers, check out on their website, which is www.anthonynolan.org. But big up to Rupert and Billy. And I just want to end the show on a very heartwarming story. So big up to both of those guys.
Yeah, and also,
yep.
I was just going to say also again before you leave, Brian Daigle's been in the comments, member for 35 months with his members chat saying, much love to everyone in the chat and my brothers on screen. Back to Toronto tomorrow. Thanks for everything. Hashtag Daigle's out of here. Love you all and come on you Spurs. So we're going to miss you, Daigle. Maybe we're going to have to get you back here sooner than you think.
100%. He did a great job on the watch along with Stell as well. So big up to both of them. Fantastic scenes. If you haven't seen the highlights of the watch along, go check it out. But that is all for your post-match stream. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for everyone for sending in your comments, your super chats. Look, what an unbelievable victory it was yesterday. I couldn't believe that we got another last-minute winner through the door. Hope you all enjoyed your post-match stream. Big up to every one of you guys out there. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.